Hello viewers, Admiral Josh Heir here. Today I'm going to do something different. Just stating right off the bat, this is not part of my behind the scenes series for Dual Game HQ's tournament. This is something completely different. Today I'm going to present you with a list of excellent science fiction books for anyone who enjoys science fiction, basically. I've got a stack of books. I got 4 books here to present to you. They cross a couple of different years. Okay, the first one, we'll start with the classic. Years ago, Isaac Asimov wrote this book, and he received the Hugo Award for the best series ever for the trilogy that started with this book, Isaac Asimov's Foundation. It's a very good book. It's kind of dry and cerebral, but it's very good for some reason. Don't even know why, but once you start reading it, if you're anything like me, you just can't stop reading it. It's really good. It influenced Star Wars, Star Trek, any number of other books and series. So, and like I said, it even beat out the Lord of the Rings trilogy somehow. I mean, not that I've ever read Lord of the Rings. I'm more of a sci-fi than a fantasy person, but from what I understand, that was a good series of books. So the fact that it beat it out is something. Let me read the description here. The 1,000-Year Plan. The Galactic Empire had lasted for 12,000 years and ruled over 1,000,000 planets, but now it was dying. Harry Seldon, creator of the science of psychohistory, knew that its death would be followed by 30,000 years of brutal barbarism and savage warfare. To preserve knowledge and shorten the dark period to a mere 1,000 years, Harry Seldon set up the Encyclopedia Foundation and staffed it with the best scholars and scientists of the Empire. Then he placed it upon Terminus, a bleak world at the edge of the galaxy. But now, the Empire was retreating, leaving the Foundation isolated and unprotected. Around it, little barbarian kingdoms were already beginning their wars in search of dominance. The Foundation knew itself as the only hope of mankind. But what could it do, alone and helpless, against the greed of the warlords who were reaching out to conquer and destroy it? So, the Foundation series covers a tremendous sweep of future history and tells the story of a single planet facing the might of an entire galaxy. Now, the other 2 books in the series are Book 2, Foundation and Empire, and Book 3, Second Foundation. And these are all 3 good books. Covers a space of quite a few years, and they're just a really good read for people who enjoy science fiction. Though, like I said, they are a bit cerebral. Also, in the same series, taking place thousands of years earlier, if not millions, is Isaac Asimov's I, Robot. This is a collection of short stories, actually, and for those of you who are saying that was a decent movie, maybe I'll read the book. You should read the book, but the movie was a very, very loose adaptation. For example, the character of Dr. Susan Calvin, yes, she's in the movie, and she came from the book, but she's not quite the same person. Very close, though. The movie did do a really good job with her. But Will Smith's character does not exist at all in I, Robot series. And Sonny, sort of, but not really. He would be more analogous to one of Isaac Asimov's other characters, R. Daniil Oliva, who is a detective robot, basically, in the books Caves of Steel. Another good book. I don't actually own it, but it was by Isaac Asimov, again, and it was the first science fiction mystery. It and its sequels were excellent reads, very well done, and I think we're closer to the movie I, Robot than the book I, Robot. But back to the book itself, let me read the description here. The 3 laws of robotics. These also appeared in the movie, by the way. Number 1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Number 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Isaac Asimov created these laws, and they've been used ever since then. Even in real life, robots are thought to follow these laws. I can't claim to be an expert on robotics, but I've seen some movies, read some books. Isaac Asimov changed our perception of robots forever when he formulated the classic laws governing their behavior. In I, Robot, Asimov chronicles the development of the robot from its primitive origins in the present to its ultimate perception of the not-so-distant future, a future in which humanity itself may be rendered obsolete. Here are stories of robots gone mad, mind-reading robots, robots with a sense of humor, robot politicians, and robots who secretly run the world, all told with the dramatic blend of science fact and science fiction that has become Asimov's trademark. That's it in a nutshell. Yep. It has a bunch of different stories. The first one is Robbie, and then Runaround, and then Reason, and then Catch That Rabbit, and then Liar, then Little Lost Robot, then Escape, then Evidence, then The Evitable Conflict. And again, these are all excellent ones. The one that actually coined the 3 laws was the one called Runaround. That's the one where he actually took these laws and put them in word form. And again, this series is connected to the Foundation series. It just takes place thousands of years earlier. So, again, if you get the chance, really good read. And even if you can't read Foundation, read I, Robot. It's a classic. It's really awesome. Alrighty. So, for those who enjoy more action-packed series and books, Star Wars, Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. Mine's a bit beat up because I read it all the time. I used to carry it with me even in my pocket. It is a very, very good book. Also Hugo Award winning. Takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and it focuses on Luke, Leia, and Han's continued adventures. And by this point, Han and Leia are of course married, which was inevitable pretty much. Let me read the description here. Beware the dark side. It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Rebel Alliance has destroyed the Death Star, defeated Vader and the Emperor, and driven the remnants of the old Imperial Starfleet to a distant corner of the galaxy. Princess Leia and Han Solo are married and are expecting Jedi twins, and Luke Skywalker has become the first in a long-awaited line of Jedi Knights. But thousands of light years away, the last of the Emperor's warlords has taken command of the shattered Imperial fleet, raided it for war, and pointed it at the fragile heart of the new Republic. For this dark warrior has made 2 vital discoveries that could destroy everything. The courageous men and women of the Rebel Alliance fought so hard to build. The explosive confrontation that results is a towering epic of action, invention, mystery, and spectacle on a galactic scale. In short, a story worthy of the name Star Wars. And oh yes it is. Basically, this is the book that started all of the Star Wars books. It's not the first Star Wars book, of course. There were a few others, one by Alan Dean Foster, of course. But with this book, Timothy Zahn started over hundreds of sequels and prequels. And I personally, and many other fans, think that the movie trilogy that Disney is going to be making soon should start with Heir to the Empire. They've said they're not going to, but at the very least they can include some plot concepts in it, especially the Imperial Admiral, Grand Admiral Zahn. Grand Admiral Zahn. Yep. Grand Admiral Thrawn. You see how I could get confused between the author and the character. But Thrawn is essentially the Sherlock Holmes of Star Wars. He is a tactical genius, and basically he can figure out what an alien species is going to do with their ships by examining their art and figuring out their psychology. It's just, he's the best villain ever. And over 3 books you come to like him and respect him despite the fact that he's a villain, which is the perfect kind of villain. So it's just a really awesome book. And also the character of Mara Jade is introduced, who in the later books in the series marries Luke Skywalker. But that's a long ways in the future. Doesn't happen in these 3 books. In fact, she starts out wanting to kill Luke Skywalker. I'm not going to reveal that to you. I'm going to let you read it on your own. So it's just a really good book. Alright, another action-packed book. For fans of Star Trek, it's not a Star Trek book, mind you, but it was written by James Doohan, who played Scotty. This is called The Rising. It's book 1 of the Flight Engineer trilogy. It's excellently done. James Doohan shows his history in the military and in engineering and things like that. Okay, let me read the description here. Introducing Flight Engineer Peter Rader. He's already lost a hand, and if he can't find the traitor on his new ship, he'll lose much more. It's a tagline, of course. Peter Rader became the Commonwealth's first ace pilot in the Mali War. That battle cost him his hand, and his right to fly the space fighters that had been his first love. Now he's flight engineer on the carrier Invincible, a crack new ship with a picked crew. With a flight engineer like this, Invincible is ready to meet and beat anything in space. Only there are a few problems. So, again, an excellent book. Action-packed. It's kind of a combination of Star Wars and Star Trek, if you can imagine such a thing. But it's really well done, and I highly recommend it. So, those are just 4 books out of many that I would recommend. They're good starter books if you want to get started in reading a series. They're really good. Or if you just want to read one, you can start with iRobot. Or you can even read like 1 or 2 iRobot short stories by itself, and you'd still get a lot of benefit from it because they're just good literature. So on that note, I will say goodbye, friends and viewers.